a longtime friend of this program. I love being on his show, Late Night with Seth Meyers. And Seth is going to host Closer Look Thursday, this Thursday, October 8th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC, airing live Eastern time from his late night studio in Rockefeller Center. Seth Meyers here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing well. And, I do think you should let the Peacock viewers know that it's exclusive because they're watching you right now, and they want to know some other suckers aren't watching it anywhere else. You got to be where they are.
That's a nice broadcasting trick to make people who are watching feel more special.
Exactly. There's a velvet rope outside, and you're inside.
That's or they are tall enough to ride this ride.
Absolutely, maybe it's a better way of saying.
Well, I mean, I guess we're measuring them by their subscription to Peacock. Is essentially what I'm saying. How are you doing? How's life for you, Seth? You're back in studio. It's great to see you there. It's great to see you doing your thing.
Yeah, it's been about a month back in the studio. It was definitely a weird transition back, but, the last 7-8 months have been all about weird transitions, and it's obviously a very different place. We don't have an audience. We have limited crew, but it does feel right to be back in the building, especially with all the safety protocols that they've put in place for us here.
Okay, and these are things that I noticed as a follically challenged man, and I didn't expect to start this, but I just saw a photograph of you there, and I've been noticing all the videos and stuff that I'm watching. Have you not gotten your hair cut in a while, Seth? What's going on?
I've got a light trim, but we did go back to long hair over the course of the pandemic.
God bless you.
And I think when you reach a certain age, I'm on the other side of 45,
okay.
And I think that it takes a lot for you to do a makeover. Ultimately, in my case, it did require a worldwide pandemic to decide that I could switch my look up. I think it's either that or a divorce, and since I'm happily married,
God bless you,
this is what I ended up with.
Fantastic. How much sports have you been able to watch in your personal bubble with your kids, your fatherhood?
The baseball didn't take off for me, but the NBA bubble did.
Okay.
And certainly football is the exact same intake. Although, until the Big Ten starts up, I really haven't watched a snap of college football. But I've been happy with the NFL, and I haven't, as much as I would obviously be happier if there were fans in the stands. I find myself exactly as invested as I would be without them there.
No, I mean, I get lost in it too, and I know that the sound that's being pumped in is canned, like it's made up. Yeah. I think last night during Sunday Night Football, which was great, they did one series without the canned noise, just hearing what's in the stadium, and I found that fascinating. But the Steelers are your team, so you must be quite excited with the way that they
I'm quite
excited.
Excited. Look, last year in the end was more exciting than it had any right to be, and that the Steelers were ultimately alive going into the last week of the season. But it was a real slog of a season to watch without Roethlisberger.
Right.
So, when you start a season 0-3 and then you come back the next year and you're 3-0, I'm perfectly happy, delighted with how things are going so far.
Well, I mean,
save for the fact that we had an unscheduled bye week.
Well, I know that. Yeah, I know. But they seem to be, buttoned up defensively in the manner to which you've grown accustomed as a Steelers fan so far over the years.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Steelers fans. It's not, we don't just want you to win. We want you to win the way we're accustomed to.
Right.
So, there were a few years where the Steelers, were scoring a lot of points and giving up a lot of points. And even if you were a playoff team, people in Pittsburgh would say, this is my first choice on how I'd like them to win. So right now it's been really nice to watch.
Yeah, I remember. The reason why I said that is because I remember a few years ago when the Steelers were putting up like 40 points a game and Ben was throwing for 500 yards, that Steelers fans were enjoying the wins, but they quite didn't know how to handle not pounding the football and playing defense and winning tight ones 20-17. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's like a joke. A friend of mine said, how many people in Pittsburgh that take to screw in a light bulb. One to screw, I think it's 5, like 1 to screw it in and 4 to talk about the Steelers in the 70s. Some version of that. I pulled it badly, but you get the point.
It's fantastic. Pretty good. That's fantastic.
And, when you're that successful for a decade, people like it that way. And it is the style that matches up with the psyche of the city. And I think it's very rare for that to happen. But, when it matches up right, it's a nice fit.
And I guess, this is what I try to do as a broadcaster, Seth, is tie things together. And what we talked about, your hair, and then now the Steelers. I'm wondering if you caught the photograph of Ben during the pandemic, and that might have scared you because he looked full. We've got the photograph up here, full Duck Dynasty beard going on, and it was kind of hiding up what could have been a not ready for playing physique. And I'm wondering if that might have been concerning at the time. And we have seen, obviously, Ben be ready to roll since then. I'm wondering if you caught that.
Yeah, there was a fullness not just to the beard, but like a general fullness. I would describe the winter Ben look. But I think when a 38-year-old guy who's obviously seems very happy with his family life, when he makes a decision to come back, he has to know that the body has to be in a certain place, or else it's not worth it. And but it's been really nice to see.
Seth Meyers here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, Seth, I get a lot of stick to sports whenever I stick my my thumb up to test the political winds and might tweet something or like something. I wonder what your philosophy has been in these times, if you get stick to comedy stuff or what your 2 cents has been as we're getting, again, ready to see your closer look Thursday night.
Well, I will say when I was both in middle school and high school, when I played sports, most of my coaches said stick to comedy. So
okay.
I've certainly never heard stick to sports at no point.
Yes. I get that quite a bit.
This is a very true story, which is I tried out for football.
Okay.
And the football coach in my high school was the dad of a friend of mine. So I knew him as a friend's dad first. And no one who tried out for football in my high school got cut. You just made the team. I was the only person in the 4 years I was in high school who got cut. And what he did was he brought me in and he said, "Look, I'll keep you on the team, but I just feel like you have better things to do with your time."
Come on.
This is a true story. And he cut me. And I was so mad at him because it was so embarrassing. It was noted not just by me. It was noted by many that I was the only person to be cut in my 4 years in high school. And then he became the guidance counselor at my high school.
Okay.
And I got on SNL, and I went back to speak at my high school, and I walked in the hallway, and I'd been mad at him for over a decade. And I saw him in the hallway, and he pointed at me and goes, "What did I tell you?" And it was this incredible moment because I realized, I've been mad at this guy who was so right. I mean, the only other way is that I come back as an NFL player and I point at him.
That's right. He gave you proper guidance.
So certainly I've never heard such a story. But, I will say, look, I think that all late-night shows, or certainly a lot of them, I think the audiences have a sense of what's authentic from each host and what they're going to get. None of us are sort of running our opinions through any sort of machine. It's not like the network's coming to us and saying, "We'd really like if you thought this instead of you thought that." So while I appreciate that there's certain people who would only be frustrated to watch a show like ours, we're trying to make sure that if you're watching me, I'm telling you things I believe. And we try to back it up. And hopefully people can appreciate that if they don't agree with us, at least we're not telling you things that aren't fact-based.
Right. And again, that's Late Night with Seth Meyers, airing weeknights, 12:30 p.m., 12:35 a.m. on NBC. So what should we expect on Closer Look Thursday? It's coming up right after it's right after the VP debate, so that'll be heavy on that.
I mean, Rich, look, if you'd asked me on yesterday morning what can we expect tomorrow, I would have been wrong.
It is insane. You're right.
One of the things I keep saying is there's been a weird, you look for silver linings in bad situations, I do feel as though I've gotten my weekend back in a way that I don't really have to pay attention to. I mean, this weekend was obviously an exception because of the magnitude of it, but more often than not, what's news Saturday is not worth having on TV on Monday because it's so far in the rear view. So you have to, it's a little bit, I did come from a background as being an improviser, and part of being an improviser is you live in the moment because it's not about planning ahead of time. It's about being in a position to react quickly. But, the reality is we're doing a live show on Thursday, and we'll see. Obviously we'll go into it thinking it'll be about the VP debate, but I find it hard to believe that something won't happen over the course of Thursday that will bump that.
Of course. You never know. What'd you think of Jim Carrey's Joe Biden? What'd you think of that?
I thought it was really good. I think it is a tricky impression. In my era, I thought Sudeikis did an incredible job. But for somebody to line up with Alec Baldwin, I think Jim Carrey obviously is that same sort of pedigree, and it was really fun to watch.
Okay, walk me through a couple minutes we have left here. Seth Meyers joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Walk me through what happens in the halls of SNL and the writing room when a debate like the one that we saw between Trump and Biden happens. What happens? Does a siren go off, or an actual literal siren go off?
There is a sirens going off ahead of time, and I will say that when I was there, in the last round of debates, presidential debates, I worked on the show was 12.
Okay.
Everybody sits around. You sort of group write the debates in that. Anybody can sort of send in a joke or whatnot. Because of the structure of a debate sketches, it's a lot of Q&A, so anyone can have a small thread of an idea that if you're the person in charge of sort of putting it all together, you try to keep your ears open because that tends to get the most out of a situation like that. I mean, this was a tough one because it did look like there had been a debate we all missed, and we were watching the SNL version of it.
Right.
So I did not, I texted Jost and Shay, even before this weekend's news happened that, again, skewed what the perspective on everything was. But I oftentimes long for my days at SNL and something happens and I think, oh, I wish I worked there. I did not feel that after watching that debate.
That is funny and sad, all wrapped in one soundbite right there, yeah. Seth. I'll be honest with you, because again, I imagine though some of the things that you're doing on your show, although it is not meant as satire, it is meant as comedy. It's not far off, from everything that's going on in the crazy ass world. Obviously, you're having more commentary of serious nature, but I mean,
it's still, we always, as people will say, do you really think you're changing anyone's mind? And if there's any mind we hope to change, it's people who are on the fence about whether or not they're going to vote, right? I think I'd like to hopefully make you realize there is, a pretty large weight to the idea of voting. Now, I also hope we provide some catharsis to people, because again, I don't think we should be anyone's first news source. But I think if you watch the news all day, it might not be the wrong thing to do to watch a comedy take on it right before going to bed. If we can do that, because again, when you're on at 12:35, all you're trying to provide people is a good night's sleep.
Right. Yeah, you're speaking as somebody who did a 2 a.m. Sports Center for 7 years, so know I totally know it.
Look, I caught a few of those.
Which I'm pleased about. Hey, Seth, I look forward to coming on your show in November. And you've always been kind of having me on, but also you come back. I don't know if people know this, but you go back and you chit chat quickly with the guest, and you make everybody feel so comfortable and so at home. So do you go in the virtual waiting room and do that? And also, do I get a mug sent to me as opposed to, because I'm not going to be there, Seth? How's this going to work?
We will get a mug in the mail to you. There will be a mug dispensation for anybody. But this is a Peacock thing. This is not a Rich Eisen.
Well, I've already got a Peacock mug right here because, there may be an I in Rich and Eisen. I'm still a team player.
That's very nice
okay, just want to make sure that, and again, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that I'm going to be on, and that it's just going to be, I'm virtual. I'm not physically going to be there.
Virtual, it is, I will say it's we're managing to be as efficient as possible in these times. It is strange to not have the chance to sort of say hello backstage, particularly with people who've been on before and I've been lucky enough to get to know over the time. So I do a little post-interview chat on the Zoom, Rich, so we'll be able to catch up then.
Fantastic. I look forward to it. Thanks for the call. I look forward to Thursday night with Closer Look Thursday on NBC at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and, of course, every single night with you. Thanks for the call, Seth.
All right. All the best, Rich.
Be well. That's Seth Meyers. Bye. Closer Look Thursday again on NBC at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to air live from his late night studio in Rockefeller Center. And then again, Seth Meyers, Late Night with Seth Meyers, you can catch on Peacock before it hits network television. That's how you roll with this subscription. Boom. Every night at 9 Eastern Time. And then, as you can see on the screen right there, you can watch this season and last season sitting right there in the archives. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.